and thank you for coming to the 27th Annual Early Childhood Day at the Legislature. This is where we'd all be applauding, but we're virtual, so you can applaud for yourself. But first off this morning, before we get started, we would like to acknowledge that we are hosting today's gathering from the stolen, occupied, traditional land of the Abenaki and Mohican people. ECDL is a time for Vermonters to come together to advance the needs of Vermont's children and families, and we encourage you to learn more about the Indigenous people who have and continue to steward the land on which we live, the systemic oppression these communities have and continue to face, and to commit to working collectively to dismantle these systems of oppression. Something we all need to think about more every day. But as we begin our work, we also want to express our gratitude for the organizations, the businesses, funders, and the agencies that make today possible, including the Turl Fund, the Vermont Community Loan Fund, and the Vermont Association for the Education of Young Children. Other sponsors are listed on the event's Whova page, and we encourage you to take the time to look over the list and visit their websites and their virtual booths. I also want to recognize the staff of the members of Vermont's congressional delegation who are joining us today. Polly Major from Senator Leahy's office, Katerina Laseas from Senator Sanders' office, and Brooke Grams from Representative Welch's office. And we hope that you might get a chance to interact with them in one of the small breakout sessions over the course of the day. Looking at the day's schedule and our move to a virtual space, I never thought I'd say that I missed the Capitol Plaza, but I do this morning. We've done everything we can to try to replicate the special qualities that make ECDL such a great event. We've got some exciting speakers, both this morning and later in the afternoon, workshops that will give you updates on the issues that you care about, and a virtual lunch so you can talk directly with legislators about those issues. So let me assure you, it may be virtual, but your voices will be heard today and throughout the rest of the legislative session. So thanks for making the commitment to be here today and in the weeks ahead to speak out in support of issues that are so important to Vermont's children and young families. So we're all adjusting still to the virtual world. And if you have questions or need any help along the way, please don't hesitate to ask. You can call or text our staff at any time. The information's in the chat. They'll post it again. We know the chat runs through and so things can get lost. So Amy, Dan, and Ansley will be posting that information frequently in the chat bar and other places so that you can find it. So our agenda starts with comments from a few speakers for the next 20 minutes or so, and then we'll move to our workshops around 10 a.m. Our first speaker is Lieutenant Governor Molly Gray. She was elected in November and has hit the ground running to make connections with Vermonters around the state, including her Lieutenant Governor for the Day program, which gives students a behind-the-scenes look into the inner workings of the Vermont State House. So without further ado, Lieutenant Governor Gray.
Thank you so much for having me, and thanks to Let's Grow Kids, the Vermont Early Childhood Advocacy Alliance, and Building Bright Futures for the opportunity to say a few words today and to open today's Advocacy Day. Before I say anything, I want to say thanks to all of the individuals Zooming in today. I think there's 208 participants on this call. All of you who have been working in the childcare space over the last year are heroes. You have been working every day in a thankless job, doing our most essential work. So my heart goes out to you. I want to personally thank you. And I also want to take a moment to welcome you virtually to the Lieutenant Governor's office. I'm here every day working. It's a quiet building. And I want you to know that my door is open. I look forward to the moment we can welcome you all back to the building. And I know that moment will soon be upon us. Vermont women are in economic crisis. And for so many of you here today, this is not new news. You've witnessed families and women struggling over the last year to afford quality childcare, to access leave during these challenging times. This pandemic, however, has laid everything bare, and the data is grim. 74% of unemployment claims filed in recent months were filed by women. That is the highest proportion of unemployment claims filed in the nation, and that's happened here in the state. The economic future of women, working families, and our state depends on us acting now. As the second oldest state in the nation with a shrinking tax base and workforce, We cannot afford to lose more women and working families in the workforce. We must act now to ensure that no family has to pay more than 10% of their income for childcare in Vermont. We must act now to expand eligibility requirements under the Vermont Child Care Financial Assistance Program. We must act now to fairly compensate all of you, to fairly compensate childcare workers, our early childhood educators, our most essential workers. We must act now to end generational poverty, structural racism, and social inequity by making early childhood education available for all. I'll close with this. We are in a moment. The future of our state depends on our children. I want to thank you for taking the time to come to the State House today, even if virtually. I hear you, I'm listening, my door is open. And I sincerely look forward to working with all of you to make childcare accessible to every Vermont family and to supporting your work in any way I can. So thank you for having me today. Please stay in touch, and I look forward to staying connected and working with you.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant Governor Gray. We look forward to seeing you in the building when we get there. So thanks so much. So our next speaker is the Speaker of the House, Jill Krawinski. She was elected Speaker in January, having previously served in leadership positions, and has represented her Burlington district in the House since 2012. As one of those in the center of our state's pandemic response, she has worked tirelessly to keep the legislative process open, transparent, and functioning in remarkable ways. We're so grateful to her and her team for all their work. Please join me in welcoming Speaker of the House, Jill Krowinsky.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here today. It's nice to see you, Matt, and I'm sorry that we're not in the building, but we will get through this and we will get back. And I agree with you, Matt, thinking about the Capitol Plaza, but again, we will get back there. So again, congratulations, and it's great to be here with all of you today to celebrate Early Childhood Day. We know how important early childhood education and care is for children, and it is a critical part of our Vermont communities. We have known that we have to do more to support and grow early childhood access and affordability, and this pandemic has only further highlighted the need and the other issues that we know are important and are critical to building communities that support Vermonters and individuals from all walks of life. As we come together in working to recover from the COVID pandemic, we need to address fundamental infrastructure issues like access to reliable high-speed internet, housing that people can actually afford, and childcare that is accessible to working families. We know these policies can help the economic well-being of families, and they are critical to help our small businesses. Many Vermonters, especially women, have left the workforce because they don't have access to childcare. And again, that was made further worse by the incredibly difficult year we have just went through and continue to weather. Too many times initiatives are framed in either supporting businesses or individuals, but they do not need to be mutually exclusive. We know that expanding access to affordable childcare and making it affordable, coupled with initiatives to increase affordable housing, we can support both our working families and our business community. We know that the influx of federal dollars we are receiving is temporary, but if we are thoughtful in how we invest this money, we can see the ripple effects for generations to come. A bill that I think we are all excited to see move through the House is House Bill 171 that would greatly expand our early child care system. The Human Services Committee has spent weeks working on this child care bill that proposes to expand our child care system, make it more affordable, and provide greater resources and financial compensation to our child care providers. And yesterday they voted the bill out of committee with amazing unanimous vote of 11-0. It is so wonderful to be here with all of you. And I just want to close by saying that I'm an Aunt Jill to a child that is in early care right now. And there is nothing better than getting a snapshot of the little note that comes home every day with him that talks about what he did and how he played with his friends. And it is just so meaningful to us and our families. And we wouldn't be having these moments and these little bright spots during this pandemic if it wasn't for your incredible work providing such great care. So thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Great. Thank you so much, Speaker Krowinsky. Really appreciate your comments and your commitment and the whole team's work in the House. We will be hearing from the head of the Senate later this afternoon, as well as the governor. So you can look forward to those remarks. And we look forward to hearing more from the legislators. And we do have legislators continuing to sign up. So in typical fashion, they're just getting through their emails now, and we are adding folks to the list as we go. I do want to note one thing for everyone, that because of the virtual nature of this, we're going to have a little bit of a shuffle perhaps in a few rooms at the lunch time. So don't be surprised if there's a little bit of adjustment. Just imagine we're all in the ballroom and there are a few legislators moving around and some chairs moving. It's going to be like that, but a virtual version. All right, so I can now turn it over to one of our other hosts, Morgan Crossman, the Director of Building Bright Futures. Morgan, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Morgan Crossman. I'm the Executive Director of Building Bright Futures, and I am so thrilled to be here. This is my first early childhood day at the legislature. As many of you may remember, last year today, this small team was trying to do what was best for Vermont's kids and families and determine whether or not to hold this session in person. And I am glad that we made the decision we did, but we are absolutely missing all of you and being at the State House in person. But I am thrilled to be here virtually. And the fact that there are 226 participants in today's meeting just reminds me how important it is to support kids and families in the state of Vermont right now. I do want to take a couple of minutes to just talk a little bit about the early childhood system of services. And as many of you may know, Early Childhood Day at the Legislature is one of the most important times for cross-sector partnership, for folks to come together and move us towards Vermont's vision for children and families that we have all come together and identified through Vermont's Early Childhood Action Plan that we call the VCAP. And that vision is that Vermont aspires to realize the promise of each and every Vermont child, ensuring that the early childhood system is an integrated, continuous, comprehensive, high-quality system of services that's equitable, accessible, and will improve outcomes for children and families prenatal to age 8. We are so excited to have you here today, and to set the stage, I do want to just quickly give you a visualization that U of L helped us build. It is our collective vision for a child that is born in 2026 and what we are moving towards. So in the year 2026, a child is born to a family in Vermont. We will call her Baby Mariah. Vermont's a state where all children and families are accepted for who they are, and we support this child from the very start all the way through their development and education. This child thrives with the loving care of her parents and caregivers. Her family is safe, stable in their home, and they have the food in their fridge today and on the horizon. Baby Mariah's parents use paid family leave and home visiting to support the physical and mental health of both parents and baby. The family is connected to their diverse community and can access services, resources, and supports they need, including but not limited to high quality, affordable childcare, a faith community of their choice, mental health support, healthy food, and jobs. Mariah grows into a toddler, preschooler, and eventually transitions into the local elementary school. She's resilient to navigate even the most difficult days she'll face. Mariah does not yet know that there's a community holding her and her family through a seamless system of support. This is a system where all children have a healthy start, where families and communities play a leading role in children's well-being, where families have access to high-quality opportunities that meet their needs, and where the early childhood system is integrated, well-resourced, and data-informed. This is the future. So I am thrilled to have you here today. We are excited to move forward with today's agenda, and I'm going to turn it back over to Matt to get us moving.
Great. Thanks so much, Morgan. We are having a little trouble connecting with Susanna Davis, who we had hoped to give keynote comments this morning. Not quite sure if we're going to be able to make that connection. I apologize about that. We'll do our best to try to find another time to schedule her in. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pass it over to Allie Richards, the head of Let's Grow Kids, who will provide a few more comments, and then we'll get started with our workshops. Allie, take it away.
Thank you so much, Matt, and everyone, and just thank you all for being here today. I mean, it is difficult enough to take this time out of our busy routines and work and schedules, but in addition to being a year into a global pandemic that has affected all of our lives, it's just truly remarkable. This number keeps growing. 230 of you are out there somewhere. Wish we could all see each other, but the power of you coming together today for Early Childhood Day at the Legislature, of course, the one day we can meet in our bedrooms, it's 50 degrees outside. So what is the universe telling us? I think we'll all need to figure that out together. I just want to add to some remarks that you've heard today. What inspiring remarks from two of our incredible female leaders of the state, Lieutenant Governor Molly Gray and Speaker Jill Krowinsky, absolute champions of early childhood in all the dimensions. And I want to, note my 2-year-old twins are starting to understand some really nuanced concepts all of a sudden. It's come very fast and it's a little jarring to me, as many of you probably experience every day working with children and families. They're starting to understand, well, wait a minute, did that, little jaguar actually eat that mouse? I don't understand how that works. I thought they were friends. And wait a minute, that pumpkin, rotted and turned into dirt, and then it grew up grass, and then the cow ate the grass. So what they are learning about is an ecosystem, the ecosystem. I was a little scared, but I have to say they are remarkable. They aren't scared. They understand that everything is part of the ecosystem and it is all interrelated. And it seems like a very natural concept to them. And I just have to bring that up because we so often talk about the ecosystem in early childhood. You're seeing some comments in the chat to that as well. There are so many components that go into supporting children and families, so many components, different sectors, different workforces, different ways that we're all connecting in with each other. And I have to say, childcare is one part of that, as we all know. However, I think what we're seeing is childcare is having a moment right now. And, it's a part of what I often say, the Vermont tapestry. We need to take care of all of our children and families. And there's a little bit of a hole in our Vermont tapestry. And we've never, as a society, knitted together that whole being, supporting children and families to access high quality and affordable early care and learning where they need it. And once that exists, all these other coordinated services that can interplay with that infrastructure of high quality affordable childcare. And what I mean by the whole is funding. It's funding. It's not that many of you who are in the early childhood education field on this call today have been doing unbelievable work in incredibly difficult circumstances. In other words, not being funded to do the work that your kids and your families need. And so what I think you're hearing from some of the elected officials today is there's a bill, there's a plan to fix this in an extraordinary way in Vermont. And we are leading the nation in this right now. And it is very much just a piece of this ecosystem, but it's an important piece and it is having its moment. And I think some of the reasons of why, COVID just showed the world what we've all seen for a long time, that we need this. It's an absolutely essential part of our ecosystem and our infrastructure, but it's also anti-poverty. While it's pro-economy, it facilitates the opening of our economy. It brings us together as communities, as a nation, as one thing we can all agree on right now. Let's put our money where our mouths are and our values are, and let's take care of our kids and their families in a way that they are telling us they need. And as we know, all families and all children are important. This childcare investment does help us unlock a healthy and equitable future for everyone, whether you have young children or not. It allows us to continue to work on that interconnectedness that we're all striving for together. So thank you all so much for being a part of this, for being here today. And I just have a little bit of housekeeping for you to move us along to the next part of our agenda. I'm really impressed by how well all of this technology is working. Thank you all for your hard work and being prepared for that. Now we need to move into the next part of our agenda. And when you do that, this Zoom that you're on right now will close. So what you have to do is click the view live stream, just like you did to get in here. View live stream as it appears on your agenda screen in HOVA. Okay, so this will close. HOVA will be back. Your agenda on HOVA will be back. You click on the view live stream, and people are standing by to support you. Their contact information is in the chat. Thank you all so much again, and it is such a pleasure to spend this day with you all.
Thanks, Allie. So we're going to transition a little ahead of schedule to the workshops, give everyone more time to talk about the issues that are going on. I think that there's plenty to talk about. As Allie points out, there's the child care bill, H-171. There's also an omnibus nutrition bill, S-100. There's a new parent-child center bill that's been introduced. So there's a lot of exciting developments that we want to share with you. So we're going to transition. If those of you in the control room will help us move to the next step, we're going to transition to the workshops, and we'll see you all there. So look forward to that, and look for your screen to change in the next few seconds. Thanks.